You know that feeling when you check your bank account and actually smile instead of closing the app in horror? When you stop calculating whether you can afford coffee or if groceries means ramen for the rest of the week? There's a specific number where this shift happens, and it's not what most people think. That number is $20,000. Most finance gurus will tell you that you need $1 million to feel wealthy, but here's what they're missing. There's a much smaller milestone that completely transforms your relationship with money. I'm Anexia, and unlike typical finance channels that focus on get-rich-quick schemes, we dig into the actual psychology and mechanics of how wealth actually builds. If you want to understand real financial breakthroughs instead of fantasy promises, subscribe now because this video will show you the actual turning point between struggling and thriving. And if it resonates, hit that thumbs up button. Here's the truth. Wealth building has invisible thresholds. Once you cross them, the entire game changes. $20,000 is the first major threshold that separates people who build significant wealth from those who stay stuck paycheck to paycheck for decades. Think of it like pushing a boulder uphill. Before $20,000, you're straining against gravity with minimal progress. After $20,000, gravity works in your favor. Everything accelerates. But here's where it gets interesting. The real transformation isn't just mathematical, it's psychological. When you're broke, your brain operates in survival mode. Every decision filters through fear and scarcity. You take terrible jobs because you can't be picky. You stay in situations you hate because leaving feels too risky. You say yes to things you don't want because you need the money. Your brain literally can't think about growth when it's obsessed with survival. It's like trying to plan a vacation while your house is on fire. But something remarkable happens at $20,000. Your brain gets the space to think differently. Instead of how do I survive until next paycheck, you ask how can I grow this money? Research from Vanguard shows that having even $2,000 in emergency savings increases your financial well-being by 21%. But when you push that to 3 to 6 months of expenses, roughly $20,000, you get another 13% boost. More importantly, you've created enough breathing room for your brain to shift from survival to wealth building. Let me show you why this matters with actual numbers. Here's the math that will blow your mind. Let's say you save $1,000 monthly at 8% annual returns. Your first $20,000 takes 19 months. That's nearly 2 years of sacrifice and discipline. Most people quit here, but your second $20,000 only 17 months. You did the exact same work, saved the same amount monthly, but compound interest shaved 2 months off the timeline because your first $20,000 was working alongside you. By your third $20,000, the timeline shrinks even more. Your money does increasingly more of the heavy lifting while you put in the same effort. And here's where it becomes almost comical. Once you hit $400,000 in your portfolio, your next $20,000 happens in just 5 months automatically through investment returns. The same amount that took nearly 2 years initially now happens without you lifting a finger. This isn't because wealthy people have secret investment access. It's pure mathematics. When you invest $1,000 at 10% growth, you make $100. That same 10% on $20,000 equals $2,000 from the exact same investment, same time frame, same risk. Scale transforms small percentage wins into real financial progress. At $20,000, earning 8% annually, that's $1,600 flowing into your account every year without you working. Money you didn't have to earn. That's the turning point. But here's what most people miss, and this might be the most important part. When you save $20,000, you've rewired your brain more than you've accumulated money. Think about what saving $20,000 actually requires. You had to track every dollar. You had to say no to things you wanted. You resisted blowing your savings on shiny objects. You did this consistently for months or years. You proved to yourself that you control your money, not the other way around. That's not just a financial skill, that's a life skill. This identity shift changes everything going forward. Before $20,000, you might sweat over a $4 coffee. After $20,000, you're not stressed about small stuff anymore. You know your priorities are straight. You've proven you can make big sacrifices. But there's another shift. You start seeing opportunities instead of threats. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, car repairs or laptop failures feel like disasters. With $20,000 saved, they're minor inconveniences. Even better, you start noticing actual opportunities. Your friend mentions a business opportunity. Before, you'd think, nice, and move on. Now, you actually consider it. A rental property deal appears. Before, you'd scroll past enviously. Now you run the numbers. Your boss mentions a career conference you can't afford. Before, you'd make excuses. Now you weigh the ROI. This is what wealthy people mean by money goes to money. It's not cosmic conspiracy, it's that having money gives you options, and options create opportunities. Let's talk about what $20,000 does to your career, because this changes everything. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're trapped. Your boss could be terrible, your job's soul-crushing, but you can't leave. You're negotiating from desperation, not strength. You can't ask for raises, you can't push back on unreasonable demands, you can't explore better opportunities. Everyone knows you're stuck. But $20,000 changes the dynamic completely. You now have what I call walking away money. You could quit tomorrow and survive for months while finding something better. You probably won't use it, but just having it changes your entire demeanor. You become more confident, more assertive, more willing to take risks. People notice. You get better assignments, more recognition, more money. It's a secret superpower that accelerates everything. Here's where most people sabotage themselves. They hit $20,000, feel that psychological shift, then immediately blow it on something stupid, a new car, a vacation, an expensive down payment. Don't do this. That $20,000 isn't a reward, it's the foundation of your entire financial future. Let me show you why with a sobering number. The average person spends more on their car over their lifetime than it would take to achieve complete financial independence. Between payments, insurance, maintenance, and gas, $600 to $800 monthly. You're looking at $400,000 plus over 40 years just to get from A to B. Meanwhile, complaining you can't save for retirement. Compare that to investing $30,000 in a diversified portfolio. Instead of evaporating, it multiplies. Over 20 years at 8% returns, that $30,000 becomes over $200,000. The person driving the flashy new car is probably stressed about money. The person driving the reliable used car is quietly building wealth and sleeping better at night. Once you hit $20,000, every major financial decision gets filtered through opportunity cost, housing, education, vacations, everything. Not in an obsessive way that sucks the joy out of life, but strategically. Here's what happens. You often realize you don't actually want half the stuff you thought you wanted. That bigger apartment sounds nice, but is it worth delaying financial independence by 5 years? That expensive hobby is fun, but are there cheaper ways to get the same satisfaction? This isn't about becoming a penny-pinching miser, it's about being intentional. When you understand compound interest and have clear financial goals, it's much easier to separate what you want from what you really want. Here's the bottom line. $20,000 won't make you rich overnight, but it will fundamentally change how you think about money, work, and opportunity. It's the difference between surviving and thriving, reacting to life and designing it. Start building that foundation today. Your future self is counting on the decision you make right now, and they'll thank you for it. If this helped you see money differently, please share this with someone who needs to hear this message. And if you want more content on the real psychology of wealth building, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video.